Hello guys, hope you're finding doing well. So we finished setuping the bootstrap and making the coordinator look good. So the next step is we have to create the web push notification system. So in main controller, first of all, we have to add the constructor. You can delete these comments and just paste. This is a constructor. You will see these things because we need them. This is the database library we want, and the main model which we have to create it in the models directory by clicking new main underscore model dot php, and you'll work on that later. The two helpers are form and URL, and the libraries we want to use is form validation and upload. So this is a constructor design only, and now we have to use a composer. So just get a CMD on your system and try to go to the folder where this application is, which is XAMPP htdocs and cd web push notification. Since we have composer installed, we will just use the command I've just shown you before. We will type composer require main-ish link web push. Hope the spelling is not wrong. Yeah, recorded not contain uppercase character, please use okay. Something is wrong here. Yeah. So this composer file is from the coordinator, which we don't need this. I will just add my own composer file. So for that we have to delete this. Yes. And here what you need to do is type composer in it and says what is the package name. We will just type yeah, this is okay. And should be lowercase and have a vendor name, a / in a package. So I will just type in Faisy and web, it says underscore, so web push underscore notification. Yup. Description, this is the PHP web push notification application. The author is okay. Minimum stability, no need for that. No, this is not a package, so yeah. License, we will give it an MIT license. Right, define dependencies require. No, not now. Just type no. Yeah. Okay, what we need, we can add the package here. So let's type for it. No, this one is think it is not working as I want. Okay, just let's go again. This is, yeah, description. This is the PHP push notification application. Yeah, that is good. It is project license MIT. Yes, let's search for managing slash web dash push. Okay, constraint to require only blank to user. Yeah, just sex for this. And I don't need anything else, so I'll exit work. Okay, hash dot complete agreement. This is not. I don't know what is it not. Okay, and it is this. It is not. Okay, I think you're doing something wrong. Till here it is okay. Web push notification description. This is PHP web push notification. Author is okay. Minister is okay. This is project license MIT. Okay, here we don't need to type yes, we have to type no, and also no. Yes, this is what you need. Okay, so here you can see the composer.json file is created. Now we have to run composer require manage link slash web dash push and click enter. So it will download the dependency and create the vendor directory. As you can see here, it will take some time to download and install all the dependencies. So it is, yep, it's finished. Great. So what we need here is now, yeah, close the CMD, and in our main controller we have to since we've already enabled the composer on our config file, so we have to use it here as a namespace. So above the class main we will paste this code, which is saying define. This is using the manage link web push directory and implementing the web push class in the subscription class from this library. So while using this thing, we now have access to the web push notification library, and we can use it in our application. So the second thing is to generate a public and private key, and for that you have to go to cmd and use the npm. You have to type npm install dash global web dash push. I've already installed it. You've just installed it, so it will install this library for us. And after after that, when the library is installed, you have to type web web push generate web id dash keys, and it will give us two keys. One is public key and another is private key. So we will create a folder here called keys, and since it is a product it's a development file, so you can use it in a folder, or if you are uh, planning to like deploy it on a production server, so just make secure these keys, because if everybody has access to these keys, they will manipulate your application. So, and we have public and private key direct files ready, so we'll just copy first public key. Yep, it will come here, save and close it. Second is the private key, I will copy it from here and save and close it. Okay, we have our keys set up, and we have the web push-up library installed. Now the next thing I want to do is work on the main model, so at least we have something when we want to work in the main controller. We will be calling that, and it should be already set up. I will just copy the code from my previous application, so I will just walk through and describe you what we have done and how the functions are working. Okay, so this is the code. We have a class main model, which extends CI model. It is a simple constructor. First function is the insert, which takes a table name and the data to be inserted, and the db insert function will be run, so the table data will be inserted to the table, and it will return the status, and we will get the status in the controller. Same is the insert and return id of inserted record. Then we have fetch single record, which we will pass the id, and it will give us the single record if anything available for that id. If not, it will give us the error. Now the get data function will give all the data from a selected table and will return the query back. Then we have the update record, which will also update the table when you post the table name in the id and the additional data. So if the id is empty, it will return false and exit the function. If there is the data, so it will check if the additional data is not empty. If it was not empty, so it will create an array to merge the data to the table, then update the table according to the id sent to from the controller, and return true when it's done. The next function is delete record, which will get the table name and the id of the record, and will implement the delete operation on the table and delete the record. If the id is empty, it will return false. If not, it will implement and return true. And another one is a filter data, which is the protected function, and we are using it for the update in the array merge class of the PHP. So it will just filter the data and give a new array back to the application. So this is the simple main model which we want to use, and I have already embedded it in the controller by using main model. Okay, so now we have to work on the web push notification, and for that we have to go to index.html, sorry, not index.html. In the views directory, we have to go to home.php. Here, as you have seen, I have added navbar and the button was enabled push notification. It has an ID push dash subscription dash button. So whenever this button is clicked, it will trigger that is the it will check the database if the user is subscribed or not, and for that we have to use a JS file which is called app.js. We will create the JS file in the JS folder by calling it app.js, and in the home page we will just import it here, app.js. Now what will this JS file do for us? First of all, we have to listen to the document. Is it loaded or not? If loaded, so we will pass our public key, and the public key will be, okay, let me just close this thing, in our keys folder, and this one. So I will copy this and paste it here. Then we have a variable is push enabled, and by default it is false. It says if the push is enabled for the current subscriber, so it will be true and it will not show the enable push notification. And the second thing we want is a push button variable, which will hold the button state, and that is document.qt selector hash push subscription button, which is in the home page and the top of the navbar. Now it says if it is not push button, so return false. Now other thing is that we should add an event listener on the push button, so whenever it is clicked, and we will check if is pushed enable is to false, so it will say if confirm, are you sure you want to unsubscribe? So the user is already subscribed, so it will tell the user, do you want to unsubscribe from this subscription? If the user said yes, so it will go to push underscore unsubscribe, which is another function we will create it soon. If not, then it will redirect to push underscore subscribe, which will subscribe the user. This will be our push subscribe function, and it will change the push button state to computing. This is also another function we will create soon, and it will return the check notification permission, which is a promise, and it will use the navigator.serviceworker.ready. When it's ready, then it will tell the service worker registration to service worker registration push manager and subscribe it. So subscription will be user visible only is equal to true, and application server key which will be used, an application service key, as you know, we have already added here a public key. This will be converted to URL base 64 to unit 8 array, and this is another function we have to import, and this function will convert the base 64 to unit 8 array. So once that is done, and it will take the promise, and it will return from what? From push send subscription to server. So here you will go call to server to update or delete or whatever you want the subscription, and the method will be post, put or delete. So we have to create this function also. This is the function which will send the subscription to server. As I told before, it will have a subscription which is given by the promise and the method which is the post. So it will have a key, subscription.get key p256dh, and a token which will be auth from the subscription, and content encoding will be push managers of supported content encodings or AES-GACM. So once we have our variables ready, then we can return call and do a fetch call to push underscore subscription, which is a function in the main controller. We will build it next, and what we pass is the method which we have here is post. In the body is a JSON or stringify which will have the endpoint, and this endpoint we will get from the subscription endpoint, and the public key which is the key coming from the subscription also, and the token which is coming from the subscription as well, and the content encoding is the last option on this body segment. And then once it is done, as you can see, we have to wait for it, and once it returns the subscription, we will again subscription or change push button state. It will subscribe or change the push button state. So we have to implement this function. Okay, so we will just put the function here. Now change push button state will take a state, and in our example the state is enabled. So what it will do is it will use a switch case, and if the case is enabled, it will change the push subscription button text to disable push notification, and also is push enable will be true. If it is disabled, it will change to enable push notifications, and this push enable will be false. In case it is computing, so it will show loading, and in case it is incompatible, it will show push notifications are not compatible with this browser, and the default is, as you know, unheld push button rest state. So this is a simple switch case statement for our push button state. Now after that, we have to catch if there is an error. If notification.permission is denied, so it will send a console.warn notifications are denied by the user. This will be a message displayed in your web console, and the change push button state will be sent to incompatible. Else it will say that impossible to subscribe to push notifications, which will have an error, and the change push state will be disabled. So this is push underscore subscribe. The same we have to apply the push unsubscribe. I will just put it under this function, and here you can see we have not exactly, but the operation is the same, because it already changes the change push button state to computing. Then the navigator will work on the service worker and get the subscription. if there is no subscription, so the change push button state will be changed to disabled. And if we have a subscription, unsubscribe, remove push subscription from server, so we will send to push send subscription to server, which is this method. And the method of this will be delete and send the subscription. Once that is finished, unsubscribe and the change push button state is changed to disabled. We will check for an error. If there is an error, we will display it when unsubscribing the user, and the state will be changed to disabled. So this is the easy way, like it's not that much difficult. Push subscribe and push underscore unsubscribe, and then sending subscription to the server. It will check everything step by step. We also have to implement the check notification permission, because it will check is it allowed on the browser to send a notification or not. So it will return a promise in the notification or permission. If it's denied, so it will return reject, new error in push message or blocked. Notification is granted, return resolve. And notification will be default, so the return notification request permission, and then send what? Bad permission result or resolve. So these are the states of the notification permission that we have to work on it and display the notification if the browser has enabled or granted us permission to do so. So now when we save this, okay, I have to fix this error also, and the app.js is kindly completed because it only subscribes the user. When we come here, inspect element and console, we have to go to HTTPS, and once you visit this, it will show you something. Okay, where is it? Yeah, it is site. Okay, it's working. So if I click on enable push notification, state changes to loading, and nothing is currently happening. Yeah, let's go to network XHR. Yeah, it seems it's not working. It's not showing me the console as well. Okay, yeah, we have to validate some things after the event listener, and they are if the service worker in navigator, if it is not, so service worker not supported by this browser, and it will change the push button state, and it's also push manager and show notification. These are the options that the browser should have. If not, it will show the error. And also here we have to check current notification permission, and I forgot this too. We have to implement the navigators, so the service worker.js should be available, and the service worker.js is a file we have to import it from my previous project. It's a simple JS file which is developed, I think, by Google team. I will just put it in your root directory. Yeah, so it should be accessible easily. And this file has uh, two functions. Now the first function is self add event listener push, and the function checks if the permission is granted. So if granted, it will send a send notification, which we will discuss about later. But this one is browser push notification on click event handler. If the notification on click is clicked, so notification click received event notification dot close, and the URL will be event notification dot data dot URL. You can also see the URL of this notification, and event of it until clients dot match all. So this is a service worker file, so that will send the notification and enable the application of service of the push notification. So here if I click, I reload the page again and go to console, voila, it says service worker has been registered. Okay, good. Is not defined. Let's check it out now. Yep, it is working. So currently I am subscribed, but as you can see, the post has an error because I have not defined this push underscore subscription method in the main controller. So we will do that next, and also add the data of the subscribed user to the database in the subscribers table. Okay guys, thank you, bye bye.